All right, today I have with me Thomas Amaiu. He's my Papua New Guinean business partner. I've worked with him for about the past 4 years, and we've been through some very stressful times and also some fun times, haven't we, Thomas?
Yes, we had some good times and bad times. Yes.
That's right. So I just wanted to have him on my podcast today because he's got a very interesting life and a lot of interesting experiences having grown up in Papua New Guinea, going from a very rural village all the way up to becoming highly educated. And then he was several different ministers in the Papua New Guinean government. And now he's just a longstanding businessman who we've been doing business with. So welcome today, Thomas. Glad to have you on the podcast. And if we could just start, I think mostly everyone would be interested in just hearing about a day in the life in the village when you were a young boy, just what it's like living away from civilization in the mountains. Just tell us a little bit about it.
Alex, I came from a village where I was the first one to be educated. My parents were primary people. They lived subsistence farmers. And then the white man came, the settlers, or what do you call it, first colonists, Kiap, and the people who patrolling around my area was back in the 50s. I was born in 51, so around there my father was a strong and very aggressive young man, so they appointed him a Luluai. Luluai is in German, I think it's a chief or something like that. Because we were initially colonized by German, then German New Guinea, and then the Papuan side was colonized by British and ended over to Australian administration. So later was merged. So Luluai meaning in German was a boss. Then later in 66, were given council. So I was somehow went to school there when the Australian colonization administration was colonizing my part of the community, in the district. So I got educated there, and my father didn't want me to go to school because I was the firstborn, and he wanted me to stay back in the village so that I can take over from him being a leader in the village.
Right.
But
And
somehow, sorry,
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
somehow I didn't want because we had never eaten, rice in meat, and those the smell of those food was so delicious, and I just simply want to eat those good food. So I ran away from my father. I went to school, not for because I want to be educated, but because I want to be part of this group where they eat this rice and tin fish and tin meat. And
You
then
were
eventually I went to.
you were tired of the mountain food, all the cow and the
Well,
broccoli.
well, well, we've been eating cow almost all our life, and you can hardly eat any protein because if we aren't in the village, we can get the possums or any meat. Once in a blue moon they kill pig, or if pig is piglet or anything like that. It's very rarely we eat. You know.
When I was up in the village, I was up near your old village, and we one day saw that they had caught a possum. But it's very rare for them to catch possums, isn't it? Because they've caught them all. There's not much left.
Well, possum, whether if there's plenty or not, it's a rare meat because it's hardly possums are very hard to catch. So once when you catch it, the meat becomes very delicacy.
Mm, mm.
So all the possums are finished. I think we were lucky to eat one then.
No, I didn't. I didn't
So
eat it. I didn't eat it. I just saw it. Yeah,
uh,
I saw it. Wasi had it. He brought it up to us, and he was petting it, and he's like, "Look, Alex." so,
well,
so
the,
you went and got an education because you wanted good food. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, I just simply want good food. But eventually I was told that education is good because one day you'll be a policeman, one day you'll be a or Kiap or teacher. I didn't know about lawyers, accountants, and pilots and engineers and all those things because no, we were in the locked in, eating well. So only those things because I was just simply wanting to eat good food, so I went to get educated, and that's where as my education get you know uh, bigger. I realized that there's opportunity for educated people can do a lot of things like mechanic and a few other things.
Yeah, it changes
When
your life, but there's a lot of
it turns
things.
to that when I came to high school, I realized all these things. because
Right.
I was, it's, Combem no road. I walked about 3 to 4 days from my village, from my,
Yeah, yeah.
gorges, mountains, valleys. I had to cross those huge rivers to go to Aga and Western Island to school.
So you
Then
walked
my
for
eyes
three
were
or
open.
4 days to go to school.
Yes, yes.
So where did
And
you sleep at night?
those people on the way, they don't speak English. They speak Nara dialects. So we have to sign language. We just do sign language
Because everyone
because
speaks different languages in different tribes.
they speak their own languages.
Mm.
So we just do sign language.
So where'd you sleep?
I sleep with some those days. People were very friendly, and they give me free food, free water. They accommodate me free. No payment. What can I pay with
So how?
those
Okay,
days?
that's very nice. That's like the Papua New Guinean way, I guess. Back in the
Yes.
day, it's a bit more dangerous now, isn't it?
Now it's very difficult. You have to pay. You don't pay. I don't know what they want. You might end up giving your life to them because everything you have to pay.
Yeah,
Those
everything's
days
yeah.
were good people, genuinely good people, and there's no money.
Okay, so you have to walk for 3 or 4 days to get to school. You're sleeping with random people along the way that don't talk your language, so you're doing sign language, communicating by hand. And then
Yes,
those massive rivers, how do you cross them if you're just a little kid? They're rushing very strongly.
yes. We have cane bridges. Cane bridges,
No.
and very cane bridges. From one end to another. And those people who are experienced people, it takes a couple of months, 3 to 6 months to complete the bridge. Cane bridges. Tie them up to the trees, and
It's like a
you know,
wood bridge made out of cane.
no, cane alone, cane alone.
Okay.
So if you want to cross the cane bridge, two or three, minimum of three people. Because if one person, the other side goes up. Doesn't balance.
Oh, so you
So
have to balance each other by putting their weight on it.
balance. Three or four people. When you go, another guy will go in the front. Then you come in. Then slowly we balance. We balance and we go. If you are one person, you can do another side comes up, and then when you put a leg on the other side, then this side comes up, and then make you
You fall.
lose your concentration, and you fall
Yeah, straight into the river.
straight into the river down below.
That's wild. That's wild.
Very difficult. But then no choice. We had to go through all this.
Yeah. Also,
I
that
had,
you could get an education,
yes.
so you could eat
Well,
good food.
so because of education, I had to go through all that to go to school in Hagen. Then I got educated. I was smart, so you know, I continued. I never go back to the village. I stayed there until at the end of the year. I had to walk back. Sometimes I stay around there and I work for some. Those days we call them masters. White people were masters.
Oh,
So
really?
I work for ceilings. No cents, no kina. Those times we were using pounds and shillings.
Ah, okay.
Uh, British money. Same was used by Australia and PNG. We were a colony of Australia, so we were using pounds and shillings many days in the 60s.
Yeah, right. And so you'd stay there in between school when you had the summer break or whatever. You'd be working for the master, the white man.
Yes.
And what type of work?
Uh, Pay for 1 shilling, 2 shilling for weekend.
But what were you doing? What type of work? Building
Oh,
houses?
gardening,
Oh, gardening.
gardening. No, the flowers, gardening. I don't go inside. Just they ask me to work outside. Cleaning and drainage,
So how
fencing.
old were you at this time?
Around 15, 16.
Yeah. See, Papua New Guinea shows you that the world, like life for humans, can be very difficult, can't it? And in the Western world, we have very luxurious lives. We don't do hard work. Everything's easy, easy. But in Papua New Guinea, you had to walk 3 or 4 days to get to school. And then in between school, you're doing hard manual labor, doing gardening and things like that. Different worlds.
Very, very true. Because even if I'm back in the village, my mother has to go and look for food. My father has to go and do some things. I have to go and fetch water because we have to drink water after eating food. And then we have to make fire because we don't have electricity. So I have to go and break firewood. So if I can collect firewood and bring water, My mother can feed me with food. If I don't, even in the big, middle of the night, they will order me to go and fetch water, and I can go a couple of miles down the valley, and I can go and fetch the water. Otherwise, I don't get feed. So we have to work to keep ourselves feed. Everybody work for it. Nobody gets free food for nothing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, everyone in the tribe has to do their part, right? They need to contribute.
Everyone, everyone in the family to work. Everyone in the tribe, in the community, have to work to contribute. Nothing is free.
So what would happen if they didn't do any work?
They don't feed them.
So they just don't
They
eat.
don't, yeah, you don't eat because there's no free food.
Yeah.
There's no free food. In the Western world, you get social security, government pays you, somebody pay the tax to feed the lazy people. And lazy man sits around, just wait when they collect the money, eat the food, sip the wine. We don't, up here, no, you have to work for it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't work, you have no place in the community.
So if you don't contribute to your tribe, you're actually kind of ostracized socially. Like people don't respect you at all. Is that right?
Yeah, because nobody is here to feed you, because you have to work. If everybody else work to feed themselves,
Yeah.
you have to work to, take care for your life.
Yeah.
Because it's just, survival of the fittest.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a very difficult world, very hard world. So you must.
Very, very hard.
Yeah. Hey, what do they do? So I've been a part of some of these, but in disputes at the tribal, like at your in your tribe, when there's a dispute between families, for example, how do you guys settle those disputes?
Well, normally any dispute is cost to it. There's no dispute without a cause. So root cause we have to find out, and we in those days we don't go to court. We just have to compensate the victim. So the village elders come along, and then they find out if someone is using somebody else to cause problem or somebody he or she doesn't like. Then if we find out, the elders find out, we tell them, you were the cause of this thing. This guy is innocent. You used to victimize the other person, so we will uh, condemn the culprit and tell him to pay him or her to pay compensation in form of pig or whatever, to resolve this
So
situation.
yeah, yeah. And when I was there, we used Coca-Cola sometimes to compensate people, right?
That is a modern way of doing it, but
Yeah.
normally pig or some garden food like good foods, like banana or normally pig,
Yeah.
normally pig
Yeah. What
when we don't have money.
what's the most common dispute that happens when you're up living in tribal life?
Uh, Commenting those days. Many years back, people are very genuine. They have respect for each other, and life is normally it's a short-lived life, so people respect each other. Most of the people normally die in a trouble fighting, but nowadays it's been changed. Lifestyle change and improve life, and because of medication and all those things, so people live longer now.
So life was
So
short before.
life was very short, people, because we were living in fear. The enemy tribe might come and kill us. So every time we fear. Well, if somebody is a strong person, they kill that person quickly. So, up to about 40 to, if you live 60, you are very lucky.
If you
But
live to
normally,
60, you're lucky.
yeah.
Okay.
So because of the travel fight.
So tribal
But
fights are the main reason that you would die.
yes, yes.
So you were always afraid when you're sleeping at night that maybe a tribe's going to sneak over the hill and come and cook your home.
Uh, well, if we know that in my own tribe, we have all fronts are enemy tribes. So no, normally we harlot all the time those days. But now, no. The so-called rascals go and steal other people's properties, and all these kind of things happening. But now life is a bit improved a bit, and the people eat good food, and they can live up to 60, 70.
Right. So
So
there's
so
not so many tribal fights anymore, mostly because everyone can eat a little bit better. Is that what you're saying? There's less fighting over.
yeah, well, yeah. Travel fight was normally for land, over women, over pig. But now travel fighting is for people are so many people are greedy people because not enough you know, uh, resource for everybody. Not enough people are employed or people who are educated, they're coming back to the village. They can find job. There's not enough food, so they're causing problem for some people, and there's problems hindering you know traditional people. You work hard in the garden are not there because they're getting free food. Sometimes by stealing Coca-Cola and drink Coca-Cola. That's why they go to cities and towns and their mindsets has changed.
Yeah.
But very few people living in the village and good people, hardworking people.
Yeah, up in the villages, they're very good, very nice people. And then you
Yes,
sometimes have people within them that are a bit difficult and they cause issues. But in general, yes, they were very nice people.
yes, yes.
Yeah. Um,
So,
but the one problem I noticed is there's a lot of people that smoke marijuana and do lots of drinking, and those are the people who cause the problems, and they can cause tribal fights by doing something stupid, right?
okay, that's very true because it's a new generation. They go to school and then they go to lay again. Mostly they come back. They taste this thing, betel nut. We never eat betel nut before. We never smoked this marijuana before. But now they are getting this one and getting drunk, and they want to aid other people for nothing because they're influenced by this drug or influenced by drinking beer. The communities are not safe at the moment. Most of the communities are safe, but some places you go, you know, they are caused by all these marijuanas.
Yeah.
So uh, everywhere it's not safe.
Yeah, it seems
Uh,
fairly safe, except for when you go near places where there's a lot of drinking, because the village people aren't used to drinking alcohol, so they go crazy.
well, village people are good, but generally good people. They don't drink. But
Mm,
these people who go out to get education and these things, they come back, and these are the ones who cause problem for the community.
mm,
And village people, they don't like this kind of people, and that's where the problem is.
mm-hmm,
But generally, your common sense can dictate. When you see some this kind of people, you just have to avoid these people and go to a place where there's a genuinely good people in the communities. You can live with them. They will not ask you for any money.
mm-hmm,
They will not ask you for any cost for accommodation. These things they give them naturally. They give them free.
mm-hmm,
Like those days when I go to school, they accommodate me. They gave me food. They never asked me for anything.
mm,
So this kind of people, there's still there's many around, but only those people who are educated and they're used to all this drug or beer drinking beer. They're the ones who are causing problem for the good community, citizens who live there, respect authorities, and they want to live their own life, do their own thing. But
yeah.
this kind of things everywhere, all over the world, you find
It's
this kind
like
of things.
it's like everywhere. It's just it's the rascals who come into the rascals are the Papua New Guinean gang members, and they come up into the villages, into the mountains, and they cause problems for just normal people who are just doing their gardening, living their life, things like that. So it's like anywhere, like in Canada or Australia or US, you have bad people amongst all the good people. It's just I think I think there's a less education in PNG about the dangers of drinking too much or smoking marijuana, right? These people they don't know, they're not educated about how bad it is for them, and so it becomes a bad lifestyle and they go up into the mountains and they start spreading it and getting drunk all the time. So, yeah.
Thank you. These are rascals. These rascals, they mean by this, you know, those people those people who are half educated. They're half educated. They're not educated,
Mm,
and these people go and unnecessarily causing problem to people in the villages. They call them rascals. They are like gangsters. They're gangs.
gangsters, yeah.
Another word for gang. Another word for gang is rascal. So these are half big educated and they're not properly educated because PNG. You see, education is very difficult. Cannot afford education because there's no those days when we were under the Australian colonial administration, education was free because Australia was a well improved economy. Can digest, we were part of that. We were territory part of Australia because Australia paid for everything, and the education quality then was very good. And the discipline were installed in school. When I was there, we used to, you know, told everything, and discipline was there. And in schools, we all speak English. We don't go and speak. In school, inside school boundaries, we speak English. And all the discipline. Teachers tell us, you do like this, like that, you will not have the privilege of education. So we were very, very uh, careful, make sure that we don't make mistakes. When we go back home, we make sure that we behave properly because we were installed, indoctrinated by these people, wonderful teachers there. Now, today, no. The teachers who, were not properly educated and they went to send to teachers college, they drink beer together with a student. They call each other by the first name. They are buddies and drink beer together, chew bilna together, all those together. So that's why it's getting better worse.
So the
So
education in Papua New Guinea, you think, is not as good as it was when Australia was in control,
yes,
and so
I was
that's
educated.
it's because things aren't as formal, and the teachers are acting like friends to the students, and chewing betel nut, drinking beer with the students.
Very true. That's what I do. And when I was educated by Australians, that's why you have seen me. I've been disciplined. I dress well. I look after my hygiene, all those things because I was taught by Australians. I never believed in Australia, but I was taught in PNG by Australians. The discipline was installed by these well-disciplined teachers, and that's why some of these educated people and good behaved Papua New Guinean citizens are taught by Australians
Mm.
because we were taught properly. But
Well,
now teachers are not teaching our, youngsters properly.
it seems like a lot of Papua New Guineans who have a bit of status or money, they send their kids overseas to be educated. They don't go to
Just,
school in Papua New
mm,
Guinea.
just because you can't trust the teachers.
Mm.
Our teachers here cannot be trusted. They are not educated properly and go to teachers' college. And then when they come back, their stupidity, their behavior is insulted to the new lot of generation. And kids are getting better worse. And they're not properly educated. And it's a big worry for this country.
Mm.
And standard of education has gone down very, very low.
Mm.
So this matter of concern for government of the day or leaders of today to worry about this. Make sure that we have to bring this kind of standard of education back. We should bring the all of all teachers or volunteers to come and to teach in the primary schools, high schools, and because when we are young, around 5, 6, 7, 8, around 15 years, their brain is ready to learn a lot of good things, but they're fit in with rubbish. So when they go to university, this rubbish is still there. So that's what we have to reorganize the education system in this country, and people can be educated well. So at this moment, that's where these are some of the fallouts of not people are not being well educated. They're causing problem for the communities.
Mm. Hmm. And then it contributes when the people aren't well educated, and then they don't have a job to go to as well. So they have a lot of free time and not a lot of purpose. And so the Papua New Guinean economy isn't really that strong. So there isn't a lot of opportunity for people, even if they go get a decent education when they come back to Papua New Guinea. So I think that's something else that people need to work on there as well, the government of the day.
Yeah, it's very true.
Um,
Because
there's some big resource projects that are providing some jobs, but there isn't much in the way of manufacturing or anything like that. So yeah.
well, we a lot of resources like natural resources are there. Most of these non-renewable resources like gold, copper, gas, this will not come back. Even marine resources, they are there. But they can, if they are depleted overfishing or over whatever, they can also be finished. So if we can education is the key factor, human development. If we can educate our young people, youngsters, 10 years or 15 years or whatever, and they go outside, learn those good, the environment can change. In PNG, our culture is still there, travel fighting is still there, marijuana and drug, rascaling is still there. You live among them and go to school and get educated. Even if you have 2, 3 degrees, you're still a rascal because you grew up among those rascals who do those rubbish things. And because they are not changed. So what I see is the people those economically smart people can send overseas, go to school overseas. Environment can change them. When they come back, free mind, come and, change the society. When we look at another 10, 15, 10, 20 years. Because at this moment, we got a lot of resources here. This country is very, very, very rich. Even tourism alone is rich, unless if law and order is, not there. A lot of natural disasters there. All those are destroying this country, but our young people are not prepared to take ownership and change this country
Yeah.
because people are not properly educated.
Yeah, it all starts with education. I think you're right, especially some of the resource sectors. Like those are resources that will finish one day. They're not sustainable. So one of the ones that I thought was good in Papua New Guinea is coffee because it's a sector that it replenishes itself. You can grow coffee forever, right? As long as you maintain your fields. But a lot of the coffee growing has died off over the last 20 years or something, just because people haven't been responsible enough looking after their coffee crops. Have you heard about that?
Well, my days, I used to be a coffee buyer before I came to Parliament, and the coffee was very, very rich, and coffee everywhere. People are planting, people are pruning. Coffee people they lived in their village, their gardens, and coffee trees were very, very rich trees, and we got a lot of quality Arabic coffees. When Brazil coffee went down in 1974, 75, PNG coffee price went up. I made a lot of money. I was a businessman before I became a politician in 1975, 76, 77. I was a politician. But those kind of coffee trees is no longer there because people are very lazy, as I've said. They don't want to go to the garden. They don't want to work. Because if we grow coffee properly, proper plantations and things like that, PNC can be very rich because our coffee is organically grown. Arabica coffee, very organic. And apart from Brazil, we are the best in the world, but people are lazy.
Yeah, because the
Young
thing
people
with
are not.
coffee growing is if you don't maintain the trees every year, the trees become less quality. Is that correct? They get
That's
worse and
very
worse.
true.
Mm.
Becoming less quality because young people, they don't want to work. They want free drink, free money. Just wanted to lazy, just being lazy and, hang around because uh, they are tired of going back to the garden.
Mm.
That's why don't, no, young people are not working hard.
Well, yeah, that's another change that it's got to come from the government really to make those initiatives happen, to create incentives and motivate people to get back into that type of work because it's a
That's right.
renewable resource for PNG. Big export.
That's right.
Coffee could be a massive export. So.
That's right. Even government can, provide incentives, subsidize the price,
Hmm.
and create a market. I think even if these young people, they can go back to the garden and they can work. If we have agriculturalists, business development officers, if they can support the families to grow coffee, and it can show them that this established market there, and I think people can work. But government is not doing this.
Mm.
That's true. Correct.
One thing you just mentioned that rang in my head is the fact that you said law and order is very important as a part of tourism, so that there's stability, so people feel safe to come and tour around Papua New Guinea. Have you heard about the American situation where people are asking for the police departments to be demolished and dismantled and defunded? Have you heard about this right now?
Well, because of George Floyd's killing.
Yeah, George Floyd. So there's a movement to take all of the funding away from certain police departments in order
Well,
to.
well, I don't know. Countries like America, England, Australia, Canada, they're supposed to be a moral society in the civilized world, and we follow the rules and morals that you have.
Mm,
So even if without the police, well, then it'll be a disaster to big countries like America because every police, let's say it's a wrong apple. There's a wrong apple, one apple that is rotten. They should take that wrong apple away and maintain the police. There, you need police to protect property and life. And if one fellow went to, for whatever reason they do, you don't help protect these people. Here in PNG, we already got a law here. If policeman get it, he goes to Bowman prison there. And everybody, the law is for everybody, regardless of you, prime minister, who. Law is belong to everybody is subject to the law of the land. So I think it's wrong for these people to do it with police because if one fellow create this problem, every police general, most of the police, back of the police are good people because they want to look after protect, life and property and friend to the, community. So if one fellow is must be a wrong apple, join the police force. So that should weed that one out, lock him behind bar.
The other
And that
thing,
would
the other thing, Tom, that I really noticed because having spent a lot of time in Papua New Guinea, working there in business and everything, it's a massive privilege to have a society with like a strong police force that is responsible and have some order in society. Because as you know, where I was working, there's no law and order, and it's very dangerous, and things don't work smoothly, and you can't plan anything. So it's a massive privilege to have a well-functioning police force, and I think you know asking to take that away is something that I think is just an inexperienced position and point of view because they don't understand the fallout of what society can actually devolve into without law and order.
It's very true, Alex. You were that part of the community you were. There's not enough police. There's only one police, a few police down in Combiam. They're running up to that area where you were, and they're running up to somewhere else. Very hard to provide law and order, service here, because I think government is not recruiting enough police. Police strength throughout Papua New Guinea is only 6,000, to 8 million. So I think government should look at recruiting more police so that there must be enough police in every respective communities.
But it's
Like
it's
Combiam.
it's yeah, it's also very difficult in PNG because everything's so remote. They're spread out everywhere. So what I'm getting at is even if you had more police, it still would be very difficult to get proper law and order up in the hills where we were, for example. And so the American situation where they're saying get rid of the police force, that's an incorrect statement, I think, if they knew the truth of humanity and what it can be like, for example, up in the hills of Papua New Guinea where there's tribal fights still, or witchcraft where witches, supposed witches, get burned at the stake. You know what I mean? So I think these people who are saying get rid of the police force really don't understand the depths of where humanity can go when there's no law and order and strong central force.
Yes. Well, as you've been there sometime. Police, like every other police around the world, some police are very genuine. They want to serve their country, serve their community, their country. Some police go and drink. They want to go and get some bribery. You give them money, they come there to work for you. So, mixture of so many, influence. So, like place where you were, there was not much police. There's only 6 policemen
Mm,
to 70,000 people in the electorate, in the community.
yeah,
So what can the 6 people can do to the 70,000 population?
nothing.
Yeah, nothing,
Nothing.
nothing. Yeah.
Hey, let's get back to your story, Tom. We've done a little detour. So you went to school. You'd walk 3 or 4 days to go to school to get an education, right? And then what'd you do? Because you became a coffee buying and selling businessman. You bought and sold gold. You owned helicopters. Then you were a minister in government. Tell me about your journey.
Yes, my journey was after I left the school. I was working with a bank. I was with the bank, development bank. Then in 1975, I quit because in my area, Colombium, there's a lot of coffee. So when the Brazil, froze killed payment or froze killed Brazil, and the price of the Arabica coffee demand was high in the world. So I quit the bank and I got a loan and I went and bought coffee. So I bought coffee and I was selling green bean trade to the Anchor company, it's an English company. So I made a lot of money and I set up a cooperative. People on buying shares and we did a big business there. And then I got some volunteers from Austria, Germany. They came and helped me work, agriculture, looking after cattle. And we have a sawmill, timbers, cutting forest to build houses for the community, schools and stuff like that. And in 1977, we were part of one province, Western Islands. That's again, we were part of again and all that Western Islands. So when they separate the province to Enga, so my electorate became part of Enga. The other electorate by river were part of Western Islands. So they created a new electorate for Enga. It's Kombia Mambu. I was the first elected in that new constituent, Kombia Mambu, in 1977. So I was a young man, 26 years of age. I was elected to parliament.
So you got
And I
elected to
became,
parliament at 26.
yes,
And what position did you get elected to?
I was assistant speaker, general minister for police. Then 87, I was minister for housing, leader of one party, United Party. And I was minister for housing, minister for justice and corrective services. And I lost in 92.
You lost in 92. Okay.
Yes,
So the last position you held was Minister for Justice and Corrective Services.
yes.
Okay.
When I was a justice minister, I went to visit um, Brisbane or jail because we want to reform, rehabilitation, reform the jails.
Oh yeah.
So I went to Long Bay in Sydney, look at the maximum security, how they, uh, categorize, maximum hardcore prisoners to medium prison to minimum prison. I went to Melbourne to visit Penrith maximum security, where the last Australian, Ronald Ryan, was hanged in Penrith maximum security.
Okay.
The last Australian hanged in 1968.
Ronald
60.
Ryan.
Ronald Ryan.
Okay.
He was hanged. They took me there. I think that maximum security is no longer, I think they must move to somewhere else.
Okay.
But that was it, Penrith maximum security.
Okay.
I went in. They showed me the rope, how they released the rope, everything.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I think I might have seen that actually down in Melbourne. I think it's like there's a museum you can see. Yeah.
I think it's a museum.
Yeah.
So then I came back and I rehabilitated the prison system.
So you learned some things in Australia, and then you took those and applied them to the PNG prison system.
Yeah, and we set up a parole system, release people on license. Weekend, Friday, Monday to Friday, we release the prison to family to stay with the family and come back on Monday.
Oh yeah.
And then eventually we release them on license.
Right. Okay.
So that they can go and stay up to children, they can behave good, and then eventually they can go and integrate it to the community.
Right. Okay.
So we they have to end, we categorize them, maximum. If they behave well, we put medium, and then if they behave very well, then we put it to minimum. So that's how I did that rehabilitation reform I established.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
And
then since that time, so you brought all those principles back to PNG, worked as justice minister,
and also I brought one law, alluvial law in 1992.
So the Mining Act, which is what we use.
And, that's alluvial. Man. Before, if one company got exploration lease to explore the size of that area, if there's an alluvial deposit in that place, you cannot go and do mine, even if you are a landowner, because the one who has a license over that area, they have the right to whether allow you or not. If they don't allow you, even if you are a landowner, you can't go and do a mine.
Mm.
So I have to bring a private member's bill to Parliament to pass that law, so that even if one has an exploration license, now you can do up to 20 meter, mining.
Mm-hmm.
Your alluvial, you can do it yourself.
So
it's not a complicated technology. So landowners can do it, find a partner, and they can do it themselves.
That's right, and that's the one we use when we come there and do our mining.
Yeah,
and so
that's a law now.
So for people listening, this Tom is talking about a piece of legislation that he brought in as a private member of Parliament in '91, right, Tom?
Yes,
1991. He brought this in because the laws of Papua New Guinea beforehand wouldn't let the people who live on the land mine gold out of their own land. So if a big international company came and got a lease over their land, they were stuck. They weren't allowed to mine any gold underneath. It was illegal for them to do so. So Tom said, this is unfair. This isn't right. So he brought in this law that amended the Mining Act, and it allowed anyone living on the land who's a traditional landowner to mine up to, is it 20 meters deep?
Yes.
So they can mine alluvial gold up to 20 meters deep using semi-mechanized processes.
Yes.
So that really opened up the ability of the people all over Papua New Guinea, because it's full of gold. It opened up
Yes.
the ability for these people to actually earn an income other than just gardening from their plants or whatever. They could actually get the gold from under their feet, whereas the government before had made it illegal to do so. So that was a great act that you brought in. And I see it all the time when I'm in Papua New Guinea. Everybody that's living up in the hills, they're all mining gold everywhere you go. Any river, any creek you look at, people are panning for gold. And that's mostly because of your amendment to that act that they're allowed to do that. So good work. Good job, Tom.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I thought that wasn't it. I told the parliament, they were very convinced because it's like a, potato or vegetable in your garden. This is not a complicated technology. It's easy for the landowners. And it's a God-given resource for the village people. So they can do that. So I think, we, majority of the people, members of parliament, they supported me, and it's a law at the moment. So these are the things that I did. And now I'm just doing my own thing, doing business
With me.
with you. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, I think we can have a couple more of these conversations, Tom. Another time we can get into some other details. There's so much to talk about with the difference in PNG's culture.
Yeah.
There's many,
But I'm
many
thinking
things.
I want to use this opportunity to tell you, at this moment, a lot of Papua New Guineans are not a business people. Most of the business they do is informal business. Informal business, they buy and sell, like, cigarette, loose cigarettes. They buy and then go and sell it in the village. All these things,
Yeah, they just buy
but
and
then,
sell with cash. They just buy some
yeah,
cigarettes, some broccoli, some avocado, whatever.
yeah, yeah. And beginning of last year, there was a big landslide, and we lost many our garden, food and houses and everything up in the islands, like Southern Islands, Enga, Ella, and some parts of Western Islands, and people are really suffering. They don't have garden. They migrated to, you know, lower land and in the coastal areas and all that.
Mm-hmm.
They tried to go back, and the government was giving relief aid. Australia was supporting us. America, Japan, Indonesia, China, and all these donations never gone to the people. And
So
people,
wait, let me stop you there. A big problem is that a lot of these formal donations from China, Australia, Canada, whatever, they're not actually
yeah,
getting to the people on the ground.
yes,
Where's it going?
and we don't know, the government system, didn't, you know, put these donations through the people.
Okay, well,
So
so that's a side
we
issue.
we
But what? So you're
we,
saying that?
we
Yeah.
yeah, people never recovered.
Mm,
And now that we have, this coronavirus thing came, and although we didn't lose a lot of life, but because of the restrictions that we had, that really killed so many people. Couldn't able to go to another province,
yeah.
and people are restricted to movements and all those things, and you cannot interact with other people. So a lot of people are suffering.
Mm,
No clothes, no food. So I was thinking of, letting you know of this thing.
yeah.
So if you thinking of wanting to know
So
more of this, I can tell you.
yeah. So if there's a thing that the Western world could do for Papua New Guinea right now, what would that be? What do you need most, really?
Well, w- our people are really suffering, by way of clothing or food or, you know, these things, because people have no clothes.
Yeah.
People have no clothes because they couldn't, go back, because they don't have money to even have a transport to go to the place, like, our area, to the stations,
Yeah. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Wabe.
No chance. Yeah. Yeah.
And then it's clothing, we needing thing of, donations in clothing or in kind.
So
So
clothing is one thing. I know when I was there, like up in the village, I'd see a lot of people wearing clothes that they've had for I don't know how long, just full of holes and dirty, because
yeah,
they
yeah.
have nowhere to get it, right? Even in normal times when there's no landslides or COVID restrictions, they don't have anywhere. Where do you get clothes from in the jungle? You don't. So it's
Well,
difficult, right?
that's right. Now they're going back and putting the grass caps at the back and put a thing in the front.
Yeah, yeah,
And you know what I'm saying.
yeah.
So it's very difficult. So that's where, Alex. Anyway, if you could, send my, request to, some part of the able to even Australia, New Zealand, or Canada, if they can contribute some clothing, bales of clothes,
Okay, well,
so that.
I don't have many people who follow me yet, but we'll put this out there, and maybe somebody will watch it and hopefully help. Maybe we can put something together with our company, and we'll try and get something
Yeah,
rolling there.
yeah, and then you can tell them, if it's genuine, some good people, good people, good heart
Mm-hmm.
can, can see and can assist, and we can help. In turn, we can help these people
Mm-hmm.
who are good people. Village people, as you know, they are good people, but they are without clothes.
Mm-hmm.
And clothes and food and basics.
Mm-hmm.
You eat, you live. They can't live with, nugget like the pigs and dogs, but they have to cover themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very hard to get at this moment because even if they lift caveat 19, they did a restriction, they passed a law, and it's still hard for people to travel in the provinces or, it's very, very hard
Yeah.
for people to move around.
Yeah, I know. Like, there's the Highlands Highway, which is the one road that goes from Leh up into the hills, and that's the only access route to bring up anything, food, clothes, anything like that. So, if there's border restrictions, then nothing will be getting through. So, yeah, I can imagine it's difficult. You there, Tom? I think you broke up. Ran out of data. Classic in PNG, always running out of data everywhere you go. Another first world privilege.